Hello, good morning, everyone. So this session is basically about how Walmart federated development in ServiceNow and what is the technical solution we used for that. So first, here's the agenda. We will first set you a context for our solution and what we were in need of, what was our solution, and some key takeaways in the end of the presentation for you. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Marcelo Morelli. I worked for Walmart Brazil for like 3 years, and then I came here to US 7 months ago. So now I'm working in Walmart US. I've been working with ServiceNow since 2011 and doing some cool implementations. We used to work for a partner before, so I have seen some cool stuff around. And I don't want to take a lot of time in this because we have a pretty cool demo afterwards.
Hello, I'm Jeremy Box. I've been with Walmart about 12 years now. I've been a ServiceNow developer for 2 years, and before that, I was with Remedy. I'm a reformed Remedy developer, so please don't hold that against me. Mostly in Walmart, I've been on the core dev team, and I've also started to branch out and become the tech lead for our ServiceNow implementation at Walmart of HR service delivery.
Is your mic? Sorry.
Yours is on.
So out of 10 years, 2 years I have been working on ServiceNow. Let me say, involved in a lot of implementations of ServiceNow into Walmart. And my core area has been integrating ServiceNow tools inside the Walmart as well. Okay, so in this session, this is what we are going to do, or what you're going to learn. So how can you distribute the organization when you are doing working in an organization like Walmart, and the scale is big. And it does matter when we want to do the time to market, you want to keep it fast. Second is how you can automate things and make your life easy, your developers' life easy, so that things can move faster to the production. And also importance of technical reviews, how you want to make sure your code is good, it goes to production, doesn't break anything, good quality to maintain the performance.
Okay, so this slide is kind of one picture you might see of Walmart. And what is really here is to show that Walmart is very big. In a lot of ways, in a lot of industries, we set kind of the standard for scale. What I mean by that is we've got 2.3 million associates and growing. We've got over 1,100 stores. We're in 28 countries. And in ServiceNow, we actually have over 10,000 fulfiller licenses that are actively being used. So as we were kind of coming on to moving into the ServiceNow realm, we were coming out of a lot of legacy tools. So we had big implementations of Remedy, several different versions of Remedy actually still in existence. We had SharePoint, we had other various sites that we were trying to migrate off of and come into ServiceNow. So massive scale, big efforts. We had this goal to go global with ServiceNow right out of the gate. So you think across those 28 countries, all of the processes, incident, change, request management. We stood up request management first as kind of a pilot of ServiceNow, and that went really well. The downside of that is that that also got everyone excited. So as we were trying to roll out all of these other things and get the big processes in place, we had massive amounts of requests coming in that needed to be built. So the big wave of demand had already started coming in, and we were trying to roll out change, incident, and everything else at a global level. So what we needed for this is a solution for how we could move faster. And so we came up with this idea of federating development. So we decided to leverage the scale of Walmart in our favor. So instead of just having a small development team that worked on everything that Walmart needed, we decided to branch out and bring in our business partners and let them develop. Not only IT, but actually out truly in the business as well. So in order to do that, we needed new solutions. We needed something that would enable us to move fast, and we needed something that would let us maintain the quality. So if we look at federated development, we kind of came up with this idea of, after looking at things in ServiceNow, of what would be good to federate and what might not be as good to federate. So we started looking at things like low-code efforts. So anything that, like requests, that you can actually move out with low complexity, low code, you could easily federate out to another team and let the business build their own. Orchestration, event-based remediation, these kind of things that the business really needs quickly, and they have the knowledge in-house of how to work with their systems. So since storage already knows how to stand up storage, they know how to fix storage issues, it makes sense to bring them into the platform and let them build the orchestration to resolve those events and incidents. And we also came across some ideas that might not be as good to federate. So when you think about the really core features of ServiceNow, how incident works itself, how change works itself, these types of situations are things that we want to really make sure that we're employing the best practice on. So we don't necessarily want to open those up to different groups to build their own process around change or incident and so on and so forth. We also don't want to open it up to anyone who doesn't have a strong governance. If they don't have an idea of what they want, what they need to deliver for their business, then they're not ready to develop it yet. So we need to work with them a little bit longer to get that governance in place and to get a good idea of what they actually need. So to govern this, we needed a solution where we could move fast. All of this wave of activity coming at us, we needed to move faster than ever before. But we also needed to maintain our quality. So we needed checks and balances in place to make sure that bad code doesn't make it into production. At our scale, even just the minor inefficiency of a code running against 2.3 million records, or in the case of our CIs, eventually billions of records, that can be detrimental to our environment. We also wanted trackability. We wanted to know who's working on what, where, who's responsible for it, who's responsible for approving it, and who it's going to benefit. And then above all else, we wanted to automate everything that we possibly could. In that spirit of moving as fast as we can, let's just get the humans out of the tasks that they don't need to be doing and get them more into what they need to be doing.
Yeah, so for you to have an idea, we went from 10 to 250 developers in ServiceNow. So it's a huge amount of developers in one single instance. Well, actually not one single instance, but one single company. So we tried team development first, but it didn't work for us, basically because of the design. The way they did it, like, I don't know if anyone in here has used it, but when you try to push some code, like only one person per instance can push a code. You cannot push another until the other one is code reviewed or things like that, so you have several bottlenecks in there. We incremented the bottlenecks because we created one additional level of approval. So we had code reviews and we had functional reviews from the product owners. So we even made it worse. And developers were really confused because if their code gets rejected, it gets mixed with the code that was previously on the queue in there. So they don't even know what code is theirs or what is others. So it was pretty confusing for us. And just because of that, we have decided to go to a custom application for us to handle all of this pipeline, let's say, of the development in ServiceNow. And if you are going to do the same, well, I would say this later, but We want to put this thing that we have done in share, so you can leverage that as well. It's not there right now because we need to do some adaptations, remove some Walmart data from that, and make it more flexible for you. But if you're going to do that, don't reinvent the wheel, because there are several out-of-the-box stuff that you can use, like the preview update set, commit update set. So you have internal ServiceNow functions for that. Just try to use that. Automation on that, but yeah, use the same things. And be really careful on changing out-of-the-box stuff, because you may break your instance, right? So if you break this promotion process, if you try to do this by yourself, you may not be able to promote code to your instance anymore or stuff like that. So make sure to build it really careful and doing several tests and everything. So the workflow of our application is like, I would just go through this very quickly because we will go through that again on the demo, but it's basically the developer opens a request to develop something within ServiceNow. We have some automation in that to create the update set and this kind of stuff. They do everything they have to do in there, complete the update set, run some automation in there, like to code scan for best practices, send it to review. We have 2 levels of reviews that happens in parallel. The developer reviews, that's basically the tech leads, and the product owner review to see that if this is really something that they asked for. After both approvals are done, it just promotes automatically to what we have as a hub environment, because we have several sub-dev environments. We have one other dev that basically contains the codes from all sub-devs. Then we have a cert environment, and then prod. So it moves automatically from environment to environment. You don't have to go there, retrieve update sets, preview, commit. All of this is done automatically. And the PO basically chooses a date and time for the change to go in, because they may need some user training or something like that before promoting the things up to prod. And that's it. Let's try to show that to you.
So with this, I hope it makes sense for you. With this, we'll get into the demo. And so as part of the demo, we will act as a role. We'll role play here. Jeremy will be acting as a developer. I'll be doing the technical lead role. Product owner, Marcelo, will be that. So the scenario here is, like in any company, a product owner, in our case, from ITSM, has put a request to show a message, P1 message, on an incident which is P1. So display a message there on the ITSM incident form. We have, as part of the demo, it is a live demo. So as part of the demo, you'll be seeing that we'll use dev, cert, hub, and production environment. Most of the work will be done in the dev. Code will move from dev to hub, then to cert and to production. We'll be doing our unit testing in dev. Then cert will have the functional testing, and then the code will go to production. So with that, I'll hand it over to Jeremy to role play our developer scenario.
Let me just set it up. And the requirements in here are very simple, just to show you the code promotion process. So the requirement is really stupid, let's say, like just show a message on P1 instance, but that's not what we want to show, right?
Okay, so I was out checking my developer board today.
Remember impersonating yourself.
And I noticed I got a new requirement from my product owner. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to impersonate myself to get started working on that. So the product owner wants me to show a message whenever I view a P1 incident. So the first place I'm going to go is production. And I'm going to go create a new development request, because we need to track this work. So I'm going to go here to the ServiceNow development application. I'm going to create a new request. I see a catalog item loads, and I've got some selections that I need to make. So first thing I need to do is choose what type of development work is this. We've got 3 development types in this. A new feature. This is a new story or something that you're working on, a new requirement. Production bug fix. This is to resolve an incident or a problem. And remediation is a special type of request to resolve issues with testing and cert. And we'll go over that a little bit later. So I'm going to start with new request. I'm going to go in here. Since we're in Vegas, I'll put a backlog item number in here. If you notice, this has a sync to TFS. In our environment, we use VSTS or TFS to manage our backlog. We actually sync to that and move the card throughout the development life cycle as we move through this. I'm not going to be demoing that here, so I'm just going to throw in a fake number. And here I get to choose an application. So an application governs a couple of things. It governs the product owner and also the development environment that I use. So if I've got multiple sub-dev environments, kind of like a team development build, then I can actually set those up to push the update set into the right environment for the developer to work in. So if you can see here, I'm the product owner for CMDB, but I'm actually going to be doing my work in ITSM. So I'm going to choose ITSM. You can see that Marcel is the product owner. It's already got me as the developer, and I can choose my developer group. So I might be developing for different groups in the organization if we're in more of a matrix organization. So from here, I'll just put in a short description. So I'm going to say show P1 message on incident. And then as I tab out, I can see that it's starting to set an update set name for me. So it's got my card number that I'm working on, my short description that I have, and it's got this little V1 at the end. And that'll become important later as we start to talk about remediation. So I'm going to submit that development request. And then I'm going to close out of this and go back over and look at my developments. So here's where I can go to track all of my work. And I can see anything that I'm working on at any point in time, see where it's at in the process. So I'm just going to dive into this one and take a look. You can see here, it's like any task-based form that we see in ServiceNow. I can see the status that it's at right now. I can see a progress bar of where I'm at. I can see all those things that I picked, like the source card and the application number. I can see whether it's been code reviewed. We'll go over parent a little bit later, but that becomes important later. I can see what current environment it's in and what dev environment it's being built in. These will update throughout the life cycle. We'll show that. I can see who's working on it, and I can have access to the fields that I need access to. Yes, this is a custom app.
Yes. But we are using the building blocks is all out of box.
Yeah, and so from here, if you notice, I see my update set name here, and I've got a link out here to the side. This is actually a link to the update set in the environment that I need to work. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on my work. So I click on this link, and I get taken to my dev environment, and I'm going to load the update set that I'm going to be working in. So the first thing I need to do is make this my current set. And then let's just go work on the incident. So I'm just going to go straight in because I know what needs to be done here. Load incident configuration, and I'm going to go look at my business rules. I've already loaded a business rule in here because you guys don't want to wait for me to type code. So I'm going to go take a look at it. Okay, it's going to run when on display when priority is critical, and I've got a script that's going to run that looks good to me. I'm going to make it active, and let's just go ahead and update that. And then I'm going to run my unit test. So let's go to just list the incidents. And let me find one that's critical. Okay, this one's critical and open. And I see a message. So that looks good to me. Let me run one quick negative test. So I'll go to, let's see, this low one here. Okay, didn't load. This is looking pretty good. So I'm going to go to my update set. And I think this is ready to go, so I'm going to complete it. Notice I'm using the out-of-box processes on this. I'm not completely changing the way update sets work. But I do see a new action over here, send a review. So this is going to kickstart the next process, the code review. So I'm going to go ahead and click this. And then now, this is going to be in the ball court of the reviewer.
So once the developer does that send to review process, kicks off a notification. We have integrated this with Slack. So by this time, the product owner as well as the code reviewer would get the notification. And most of the time in our company, we let product owner review first, then do the code review. But here in the demo, I'm going to do the code review first.
Impersonate you. Yep.
So I need to go to the production instance. And I can go and look for the list of pending code review. It will give me the list of all the records that I, as a tech lead, we need to review the code. So if you pay attention at this part of the area on this request, on this record, there is a code scan result. So our code scan has already found one issue with this code.
Can you see it from back
from
there?
far back.
Should we put some zoom? Okay.
So it's under best practices. So we have built various rules to go and do some code scan check when it gets submitted for code review. So this gives me a ground to reject this review right away here. But what I'll do is I'll go back anyway, look at the code. By clicking this link, it takes me to the right instance and right to the update set. So here, the part I was talking about, the developer would have helped himself by running this code scan. And it would have given him that he has logs in his code and he could have fixed that here before sending it for review. So I'll go back to the code. So he has written a condition to run it on critical. Now here, what I'm looking at here, I want to keep the code clean so that it may be a very small code here, but if it grows bigger, it needs to be clean so that we, from maintainability perspective, and also we don't want logs statement going into production. So here I see a couple of things. There is unnecessary comment here. There is a log statement which was caught by the code scan. Then there is a logic check again here. So I'm going to go ahead and reject this code review. So I need to put a comment so that developer gets notified and he can see what exactly it was rejected for. With this, I'll pass it to Jeremy.
All right, so I'm hanging out, enjoying my day, and I notice I got a Slack message that says my code review was rejected. So I'm going to log in and take a look at my dev request and see what's going on. So I'm going to pull up my dev request again. When I scroll down here, I see my rejection message. I also would have gotten this via Slack notification from our integration with Slack. So I can go right in and start working on this. So Node pointed out that I've got some extra log statements. So I'm going to click over to the dev environment and make this my current update set again.
Yeah. So if you notice, the update set was completed and now it's back to in progress automatically based on the rejection. So there is a piece of automation there already.
Mm-hmm. So now that I'm back in this update set, I'm going to go back and work again on the rule that I'm working on. So I can see what he's talking about here. I do have some log statements that I left in. I've also got some comments. So I'm just going to start cleaning up some of that. I'm going to take that out. Let's take this log statement out. Let's take that one out. They said I need to clean up my logic. So I see over here that, yeah, I've got logic on this side, and then I'm running it again. So that's probably unnecessary. Let's just go ahead and take that out. And then he also talked to me before I came over here and told me that he wanted me to format my code. So I'm going to make sure and run the script formatter, get rid of any unnecessary spacing. All right, so I think that's pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and update this. And then I'm going to go back to the update set. And this time I'm going to be a good developer. I'm going to run my code scan to make sure it comes back clean. All right, good to go. So I'm going to complete my update set. Sorry. And I'm going to send it back to review. And it's going to be back in code review.
Thank you, Jeremy. So I'm going back again. I'll follow the same procedure, going to production. And I would have received the notification, so I don't have to keep watching here. Once I receive the notification, I can come here. Go to pending code review. So here, if you see, again, at this corner, code scan result, there is nothing there. So one good thing Jeremy has done is that he has run the code scan, and we are out of that business now. So all I have to do now is go back and see to the update set if there is anything new thing has been added that I need to look at. I'll click this icon, takes me to the right instance. So if I look at this record,
The compared to previous, you could use it.
next one.
Oh yeah, you're right.
So here, it looks clean. Condition is there, and there is one liner to set the message up. So it looks good to me. I'll go ahead and, since I'm doing the technical review, I'll mark this checkbox, code reviewed, and save.
Okay, actually, the both reviews, the code review and technical review, are done in parallel. So I would receive the Slack notification as well at this point. And what we expect from the product owners to do is basically come here, or maybe from Slack, they know what this is about. They will have a menu for them for pending PO review in here. So all they have to do is, well, I know what this is about. I really ask at this. We don't expect them to understand code, so we don't want them to go deep into the code or to any kind of check like that. So I really know what this is about. I ask this is my requirement. I will just approve it. So save. And this is where the automation starts. So you can see here, promoting to Hub. Hub is the environment we use back there in Walmart to join, let's say, all the code from the lower environments. So this triggers an automation to load the update set, preview the update set. If we don't have any problem, it commits the update set, and then for the following environment as well. If we do have some kind of preview problems, we had to go there manually and see something. We are planning on automating some of the preview problems. For example, the mid server is wrong, so maybe we just go there and change the mid server according to the environment to the correct one, or something like that, but we didn't implement that yet. And after promoting to two different environments, so at this point, ready for testing means that it has gone through two different environments already, previewing and committing. So ready for testing. At this point, you will see that current environment, it's a different one from the dev environment, so it's promoted up. What I expect at this point is either the PO or the developer, can be any of them. Just go there to the test environment. That you can use the same link here on the update set, because this brings you to the current environment you should work on. So this took me to a different environment, demo cert. I basically just go there to incident, open a P1, and I noticed that the message is red. Oh, that's not what I requested. I requested a blue message. But what about now? Because now the developer cannot reopen the update set because it's already promoted to our upper environment. So here's where a different process starts, right? So please change the message to blue. And test failed.
Informational.
Yes. And then the developer gets a new Slack message. Just go there and fix it again.
Okay, so I'm hanging out in Slack again, enjoying my time. I've noticed that my test failed, and I need to go in and take a look at that. So I'm going to log in again, go to my dev request. I can go here in my history to see the dev request that I was working on. And it looks like the product owner wants me to make that an info message. Okay, I can do that. So I'm going to click back over. Sorry. Go back to dev.
Broad, open up.
Oh yeah, sorry, I did this wrong. Yeah, so I've noticed I can't get back to my code. So what do? When I click over to this, I go to cert. It's already been promoted to cert. I can't open it back up. So what I actually need to do at this point is create a remediation request. Remember we said that we would bring that up later? So I'm going to go here to create a new request. This time, I'm going to skip down past these and I'm going to click remediation. I need to pick which one it's for. So I'm going to pick my first request from earlier. And if you notice, it populates all of these things for me. The application, the owner, the environment, it sets the name, the description and the name, and I've got a v2 on the end. So as I work on code that need fixes in cert, we increment the version each time. So as I submit this, close out of here, and I'm going to reload my dev request. And if you notice, I'll see two of them. The top one was the first one I submitted. It's now in a state of in development fix. So it means it's waiting on another dev request. And I've got my new dev request, which is a P2. Sorry, V2. So I'm going to go into that. If you notice, I got a parent-child relationship. So now I've got a parent of the other dev request that I could view the information of here. But I'm going to go ahead and get started on this. So I'm going to click into that, this time taking me now into the dev environment. And I'm going to make this my current update set. Okay. I need to go select what I was working on before. So let's go pull up my business rule. And sure enough, it's an error message, so I'm going to change that to info. Okay, I'm going to update that. And here's where I would have unit tested that. In the interest of time, let's just say I went in and did that. Everything was good. So I'm going to complete that, save, and send it back for review again.
Thank you, Jeremy. So with this, I would have again received notification, go back to production instance. Sorry. It's taking longer.
Just refresh it, maybe.
Something going on with the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, sorry, a little bit of technical issues here.
What Wi-Fi is it on? Okay,
Now,
there we go.
now impersonate. Okay, sorry, it took longer. So again, I'll go do the same activity, do pending code review. Again, code scan, that is a lifesaver for technical leads because it takes a lot of things from your plate away. You don't have to look certain things if it looks good. All I have to do is go back to the update set and take a look at. And since it is a remediation feature that we have added here is we can, as I know there is a previous version of this update set, I would want to do a comparison just to make sure what is the changes developer has made.
Just a parenthesis in here. So the way we used it to do that before was we basically load the update set in the upper environment before we had this custom application, and we compare to the current version of the instance. So before installing the code, you could see the differences in there and see if that's really what had to be changed. But one thing that we came across after doing this is that the update set is not there in the upper environment yet. We are code reviewing in the same environment. So we have created this action like compared to previous version that basically grabs the current version and the last test version of the previous update set and uses the out-of-the-box stuff for comparing the things so you can look at it like this.
Thank you for explaining that, Marcelo. So here, when I'm looking at what change developer made, and as per the requirement, he changed from error to info. So I don't have anything much to do here from code review perspective. So I'll close this, go back to the production instance of the request, and mark it code reviews, done, save, thank you. This goes to the product owner.
Yes. So let me just PO review this as well, because I know what this is about, right? So it will kick off the promotion process again. And notice that now we have the parent-child relationship. This will become very important when going to prod, because this basically means that when going to prod, this has a specific order to go to prod. And the way we have done this as well, it doesn't have to be a remediation to be a parent-child relationship, because you may actually have two functionalities you are changing that are touching the same thing, and you want one to go first and then the other, so you can just put manually a parent-child relationship in there to make sure that things go to prod in the correct order. So it's ready for testing. It's already moved to test environment. I'll just go there, make sure this is what I want. And there we go, the blue message. Nice. Now, after I refresh this screen, I will see some other actions in here. That is the test failed that we use it. And now the test passed it. So looks good. You don't actually have to put a comment here, but let's do it. And after it's test passed, then what the product owner can do is schedule this change to go to prod. So as this has a parent, you get this message in here. So this dev request has a parent, so you should schedule the parent, not the children. Because once we promote the parent, all the children are installed automatically as well. So you have to have that in mind on this. Because if you want to install just the parent, you have to remove the parent-child relationship, because everything will be promoted, right? So here I am at the parent. I have a schedule release in here. One thing we added in Walmart as well is a release notes page in the service portal. So that's why we included this field, business value. So this is basically a message for the non-IT people to understand what we are delivering for this change. So we could put something, show P1 message on incidents. So if someone goes there in the release notes page, they know what this is about. The product owner can come here, pick a date and time for this to go to prod. So I want it to go to Saturday or any day, and schedule release. So this, on the back end of this, what is happening is it's creating a scheduled job to run at that specific time to kick this off. And at any point before this is actually moving to prod, the PO can come here, change the date. It will, if you save it, it will delete the job in there, recreate it with the new date and time. You can cancel the release. So you still have control of this since it's not in prod yet. And if you pick any past date or right now and save, it will schedule it for right now. So the deployment will start right now, basically. And in Walmart, we basically do this the whole day. We have like, I don't know, 220 deployments during the month. And we do that in the middle of the day. We have no problems with that right now, even though it's not recommended by ServiceNow, because you have like some cache flush and something like that that can make your instance a bit slower for some minutes. But we actually don't notice that much. So we're comfortable enough for doing that. And notice that it moved to dawn. So this basically means that this code was moved to prod. And down here you have the children. So the version 2 of the same update set. It's already moving to prod as well, committing in prod right now. And done. So let me just confirm that everything is working in here. So if I go to a P1 instance in prod, it's there. The message is blue and it looks good. Okay, and before we go back, I see we have some time. Before we go back to the presentation, we have one more slide in there. Just want to mention that we have some other cool functionalities in here that we want to put together and share with this application. That is basically when someone is developing something, they can, well, we had quarterly clones in Walmart, so we wanted an easy way for people to back out their code for the clone. So from the dev request, you can right-click in here, and if it's not closed, for sure. You can right-click here, and you put the development on hold, and it automatically downloads the XML of the update setting attached to the record. So that's something pretty cool as well, but we did not do anything automated yet to put the code back into the development. But that's on the plans as well. Let's go back to the presentation.
All right, so what we just showed you, it's important to note that this is a journey. It's not a destination in and of itself. We're still working on this. We're iterating on it. We're improving it every day. We take our developers' feedback, and we take that to improve the product. There's a lot of big plans for this. We want to integrate automated testing framework. We want to start auto remediation of some of the low-hanging fruit problems so that code reviewers don't have to reject things. They can just fix it if it's easy to fix. And then, as Marcelo touched on, we want to get that auto backup and restore around clones for your in-progress work fully automated, so that when a clone is coming, you don't have this big scrambler of 250 developers trying to back up their work and save it before it gets wiped out. And we got a lot more. So I know there's some other sessions around, test-driven development and things like that here at ServiceNow. We're going to go attend those sessions. We encourage you guys to as well. If you take an idea like that and you combine it with an idea like test-driven development, then you've got for ServiceNow a continuous delivery pipeline that can run your testing for you. It can do everything that you need it to do. So just take this as we're going to keep working on this. And as Marcelo said, we're working through some processes in Walmart in order to release out to the general public, but we're going to be updating that and have it out as soon as we possibly can.
So with this,
Click it.
So with this presentation and demo, the top takeaways that we are trying to present here is how easy you can make your release cycle. How can you help your developer not to worry about when he's in the middle of writing code like, oh, I need to move another product update set to production. It should be free of mind just doing his work, development. Automate as much as possible so that human hands is taken away. There is no delay. Systems takes over once you start the process and the code is in production. And most important is the code quality. That is very important, especially for us, as Jeremy explained, the size and scale. We can't let even small things go into production. So we have to make sure we are reviewing the code, automate as much as possible of code review, and make sure the performance of production instance remains as is. With this, I'd like to thank you for being patient and going through these slides and the demo. If we have questions, you're ready?
Yeah. So at this time, we're ready to take any questions you might have.
Let's test. Hello. Who do I bribe to get this today? That's a real question. Okay. What did you use for the code scan?
The code scan we wrote in-house.
Okay, how long did it take to develop this tool?
We take like 4 days, maybe.
4 days, yeah, something like that. It was pretty fast.
Marcelo and I worked on it. We took 4 days of actual coding. We took a few more days to design it.
Design, yeah, that's true.
Design was.
So there were a couple of days of just drawing on a board how we want this to work.
Okay. Was this a lot of custom tables, stuff like that, or were you usually using mostly? Because I see you hitting a lot of the
There are
existing
some.
features, but
There are.
So
some
there,
new buttons.
yeah, let me just give you a quick look on that. So we have some tables in here that are more or less the base data for that. So we have like all the list of instances and the type of the instance. So production, development, hub, or cert, to know which one to go after some step, right? We had the applications. That is basically you can put, back there in Walmart, we have more than 30 applications in there, I guess. So basically on the scope, or maybe who is the product owner. If you want to segregate by some reason, you can.
It's basically foundation data for the application too.
Yes. We have the scopes in here that for the demo we just have global. And we have the code checks. Oops. Not SB node.
Come on, I don't have permissions.
Yeah, one thing that we did in this application is several stuff is locked for security admin. So you have to actually elevate your privilege to see stuff. Because we don't want every
You don't want developer to
admin
go and make
see
changes,
it.
right?
Yeah, so in here we have some code scan rules. Some of them doesn't even require a script. You just put some conditions in there. And some of them really requires a script. For example, the search for a gs.log requires a script because no matter what's the object type we have, we want to search against it. So this is the piece of script that queries for gs.logs.
A couple of rules that
Yes.
You had a question?
So I used to work for a partner that maybe the guy is in around here, and we had like a quality scan tool that we basically extracted the main ones from the old ServiceNow wiki, so following the best practices in there, and we have some internal best practices as well within Walmart that probably doesn't apply to anyone else, but we would include the ones that are basically good for everyone as part of the share solution as well. So you have some there at least to use as example to build your own.
Yeah, and industry best practices too. You know, extraneous comments in code that are nonsensical. It's pretty much an industry best practice to remove those. Info logging in production, it's a good idea to limit that to lower the strain on your logging. So yeah, a combination.
And also to add what Marcelo was saying is also our own developer experience when we were, let's say we are working on update set, you make change in one application and then move to another by mistake and the same application changes are in the same update set. When you move it to production or try to move it, it breaks.
Yeah.
So those things are also we are learning and we are putting into here so that we prevent those from happening.
One of the code scans, just really quick, sorry. One of the code scans that is very useful for us, for example, is to check if all the objects inside of the update set you are trying to promote are the lastest version, to see if someone else has touched the same object in another update set.
That is key, yeah.
Yep.
Question.
Please.
So the tool's great, and I see how you did it, but you also did this based on how you're organized, right? So for instance, are you federated at the code level where you're checking developers that are off, not necessarily, they're in a business unit or there's some other subset? Is that how this is working? Is
That's
that why
part
you
of it.
set it up?
Yes.
Yeah, so we do both.
Yeah.
We have federated developers, and we have a core team of developers. They both go through the same process. So even our core team doesn't get a buy on the code checks. They have to submit through the same process. Everything flows the same way, and they get the same benefits of the automated deployment and the code checks.
And there's Slack notifications and everything.
How many dev instances do you have, and how do you allow that to, some team to have their own dev instance? And also, I saw you auto-promoting your update sets. So how do you resolve any conflicts when you're automating that? And my last question is, how do you test for any impact, like your update sets you're promoting might have impact to other parts of your platform? So how do you make sure that you make sure there's some kind of regression testing taking place?
Yeah. So the first part of that, we have 8 sub-dev environments, 1 hub, cert environment, and a production environment. So those 8 sub-dev environments to resolve conflicts, we're still using a piece of team development, which is the pool. It's the sole piece that we haven't been able to automate yet, but we're working towards that end to automate that conflict resolution. And then as far as managing the regression testing and so on and so forth, we're working towards getting fully familiar with team dev in order to write regression tests and even automate those.
ATF.
ATF is.
Sorry, yeah.
We're planning
ATF.
to integrate.
We're working towards that. We're trying to work towards the idea of running ATF continually. So having a server actually run it rather than having a person sitting in a computer running it, using up their box's resources. So we're a little bit more manual on that point than we want to be right now, but we're working towards that.
Okay, so first of all, congratulations, because this looks really awesome. I'm kind of envious.
Thank you.
Really, I am. So thumbs up for this. So many questions I would like to ask, but let me pick just a random one. So will that support, or are you planning on supporting scoped applications per se? Because I can see it's strictly tied to update sets. So what about Application Studio and the whole framework for application installation and so forth?
Yes. So do you want to take that one?
I can. So within Walmart, we use this for scoped applications as well. So you have basically two options to promote scoped apps up. So one of them is actually use the applications menu in there and upgrade, change version, and this kind of stuff. But you can still use update sets, right? And we prefer using update sets because we had a bad experience in the past where we used the store, the kind of store to promote all the way up. And once we clone it down to the same dev environment, we lost the application in there. We could not change it anymore. So based on that experience, we basically decided to go always with update sets to the upper environment, so you could change the same scoped application in any different environment.
So that really answers it for an organization that's building for themselves, right? But the other part of that question is, what if you're building for other people and you're selling something in the store? I think there would be a desire for some of the people to adapt something like this to work towards publishing in a store. And I think that's something that we could do. It's just not done yet.
Okay, hi. I was just wondering how you set up your code review structure. We're starting to get more and more demand, as you did. And we have a couple of guys that do it, and they're afraid that they're going to be stuck doing code review for the rest of their lives, and they really don't want to do that. So did you set up on the federated level as well, or is it just the core team that's doing it?
For the
Code reviews, who code reviews?
So yeah, for now, we have a set of senior engineers on the team who are continuously, apart from their other work, they are watching or monitoring the notification and doing the code review. So right now it is limited, but once we mature and there is a proven test record, we may want to open and add more and more people.
Yeah, we already increased it. So we were sometime before I was the only one doing code reviews. Then I empowered Jeremy to do that. So we were 2, and now we are almost 5. So it's increasing. And it's the quantity of code reviews we have to do is pretty stupid. If you look at the instance, like at any time, we will have around 30 code reviews.
Yes.
So we give people more or less a time of the 3 days to start code reviewing at least. We usually do that in the same day, actually, but when we are changing something that is critical for us or something like that, we just forget about code reviews for a little while, and then we get back. So we tell people that we take 3 days, but we usually take less than that.
Right. Just to add, like as you were saying, if there is a business area which is working, let's say for automation, right? If there is a lead, they can identify who can work with us, and as proven, then yeah, we can give that.
Sorry, just one more thing on that. Also, as we code review, our tech leads are encouraged to write additional code scan rules. So as they begin to find patterns and things that we're doing wrong in code, or in things that we want to do a different way, they can start to identify those rules and reduce the amount of time that they have to spend in code review. So everything that we can scan for is one less thing that we have to search through the code for.
Yep.
Okay, we're running a little bit over schedule, so I'm going to do a last question, but I'm sure the guys are available one-on-one for more questions.
Hi, thanks. Really nice demo. I wanted to ask because not everything is an update set. So sometimes when you build bigger features, you end up having some data and some metadata, like the update sets. So how do you structure this? Because here we see only the, the code part. But if I also request, I want additional changes in how the catalog works and plus 55 new catalog items. So how does it all come together?
Yeah, so it's not really designed to do a data review. It's really designed for a code review practice. It doesn't prevent you from actually doing a data review on it. And as far as getting it in the process, if you configured your environment as such that you expose the push to update set action, if you allow your developers to do that, then yeah, you can get it in the update set and move it through the same process. We don't usually allow that in our environment.
So we keep cloning our environment with production quarterly basis. So we make sure that we have correct data in all the environment for developer to test. For sure, insert environment, which is very close to production, there is a testing setup. The product owner has to do, because they need to engage the end users to do the testing. Or once we integrate with ATF, that is going to continuously keep running.
Yeah, and for data also we have some internal solution for data replication between instances.
Yeah.
So we propagate to all the sub-dev environments. And ServiceNow is doing that, something for that out of the box.
Some of the key data user groups, we do create in production directly so that it is available with the same sysid everywhere.
Yeah, and if you have more questions, we can talk. We will be outside of the room for a while.
Let's give a big hand for you guys.
Thank you.